So I've been asked to share my learnings from Bali, and I have to be honest, there's so many, it's really difficult to put them all into categories. So I'll be very open with you and share what I've learned about me and why I think spending time like I've done with myself and the other people that came on my Divine Living course did for themselves. And to see if this resonates for you. That's the best I can do, really. When I arrived in Bali, well, before we arrived, I was spending a week with my son, Dylan, and I said, do you want to party or do you want to have a spiritual experience? And he said, I'd like to have the spiritual experience. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to. So we were aligned right from the outset. And when we arrived in Bali, we went to a healing session and we got a water blessing. And the first question was to come prepared with something that you feel you are ready to release. And I'd been feeling, to be honest, quite exhausted. I was really fatigued and I was a bit frustrated with myself and a few people around me. And that was because I felt my energy was getting depleted. I was feeling that I was waking up every morning in this sense of arriving and waking up thinking, right, okay, today's going to be a good day. I'm going to work through what I need to do and I'm going to focus and I'm going to get all the things done that I need to do, which I did and was fine. But at the end of the day, I was feeling really exhausted and it was becoming more and more apparent that my energy was leaking. And in fact, I even got told that in Bali when I had my biothermy test thing done. And I suppose it just kind of reminded, I suppose it was proof or reconfirmation, should I say, that that's how I was feeling. So when I wrote down what I wanted to let go of was that I was tired and I wanted to release carrying everybody else emotionally. And I think this is something that I've done from being a very little girl, is hold everybody so that they feel good about themselves. I provide space for everybody else. And therefore that at the sacrifice potentially of me. Now that's not good for a healer. And I have to say I'm much more kind of boundaried when it comes to the clients that I work with because I know professionally what I need to do. But from a personal level, like partner, family members, sometimes some friendships, or people or some friends, I was feeling really depleted and I was feeling that my energy was being genuinely sucked and taken away from me. And so when I wrote down on my piece of paper, I want to release accommodating, for everybody else. I wanted to release this sense of responsibility for making others feel good about themselves and for holding everybody emotionally. I wanted to release. And so as I put my piece of paper in the puja, in the fire, I knew my timing for this was exactly right and that Bali was going to support me with that need. And as we know that when you're ready to do the work, the teacher will appear. The teacher always appears when the student's ready. And so I found that that first week with Dylan was very much really around exploring different modalities. So we did things at Pyramids of Chi, where sound and light therapy, somatic body work. I did some stuff on myself around this biotherm test that I did, which is, and I have to be honest, that was really most probably really powerful for me because when they took your pulse and they took your stats and you had things attached to you, they turned your heartbeat in terms of into music, and my heart was very sad, and there was no escaping for me because my heart had been sad and was sad. It's not sad now, but it was, and that really struck me as something quite fundamental. And that was that sense of exhaustion, sense of depletion, sense of not being in reciprocal relationships where people are supporting me as much as I'm supporting them. And so as the week went on, we experienced lots of amazing different things, including massage. I did aerial yoga, yin, nidra. There were so many things that I did. And then we danced, we did ecstatic dance, no alcohol and all these kind of things that actually, you read about, you see, Bali offers so much if you want to really have a healthy experience. So when Dylan left, I then obviously moved to the other side of the island and welcomed the Divine Living people into our beautiful retreat that Yama Balian always provides for us. And it's lovely to be invited to host an event there, actually, to do that work with people. And when everybody arrived, like myself, we were all excited, a little bit nervous. And as the week, or as the 2 weeks, the 12 days that we were there kind of progressed, there was lots of new awareness for me, just in terms of my own skills, my own talents, and the things that I can offer from a healing perspective. It was much more hands-on, much more kind of moving somatically the trauma and the energy out of people's body, and actually physically hands-on healing to remove pain from the physical body. Now, I know these new 2 gifts that I've been working with, and new 2 energies that I'm sharing with the world next year in Sri Lanka, Mayaoki and Karamu. These are things, and these energies and these frequencies are not from this planet at the moment. And I know that sounds a bit bonkers, but you know, Reiki came from somewhere, right? And so these 2 new healing modalities have come from somewhere. They've come from source, and I'm the only ones holding these. So to be able to use that and to teach people the healing modalities, and to actually do the work with the client group was remarkable, which required me to trust myself more, to really lean into the environment. And I have to be honest, that sense of connection with nature, the sense of being at one, and really doing that soul healing work at a deep level. Now, obviously, the soul doesn't actually need healing. It's the human experience of the soul that needs healing. And so being able to do that with people, and to help them really come back home to who they truly are, was amazing, which also holds the mirror up to me. And this is the additional learning for me. The next phase of my learning is that whilst you're going through all of that, and you're sharing and teaching and doing all the things that you do and guiding people, you are equally learning at the same time. So learning how to be a better teacher, learning how to be a more impactful healer, but more than anything, learning around that soul and human connection. And I've wrote a few things down, which I will share with you if that's all right, because I've written reams of learnings, because people have asked me, and I'm like, I've got about 8 pages of learning, so I'm not going to read it all word for word, but I did put here, when we wake up and our soul and humanness meet fully, when they fully come together and integrate as one, when we connect with everything inside of us and connect with everything around us, nature, the universe, source, then it allows us to really remember why we're here and what we're here to do. And that came very, very thick and fast for me when I was in Bali. Now, I know this is not a journey for everybody. That's totally fine. But for those who do feel the calling to be healers, to want to work and to support others in these modalities, then I think the learning for me is that you have to have journeyed. You have to face your own trauma. You have to face your own fear. You have to face all of those things that are getting in your way, so that you can fully move into the space of being at oneness with your soul, with the universe, with nature, with yourself, and that humanness as one. So that was my really big learning. Now, I knew cognitively about that, but the physicality of it, the bringing it into the body, the recognizing it and knowing what that feels like is, I don't think actually words can really express it. And I think what I've done, well, I know what I've done, but I've needed to journey that extra bit. And out of that has come a real deep and profound understanding of me, what I'm here to do, but equally what is important to me. And to do that, which then takes me to my last week in Bali, is that I needed to forgive myself. I needed to forgive myself for all of those past traumas. I had 2 really intense trauma-informed sessions. One was about trauma manifestation with breath work, and the other one was around using your voice to support the release of further trauma in the body. And we know the body keeps a score. You know, there's so many books been written about this from all of those trauma experts. But it is so true that when you have experienced trauma, it will stay within the body if you don't process it. And this reminds me of something I got taught years ago with when I did my Ayurvedic teacher training course, is that for us to have a really healthy, vibrant life, then we have to digest, we have to process everything that's happened. And for me, this last week was all about processing all the trauma that I had yet not fully digested and fully released from my physical body. So there was lots of tears, there was lots of anger, there was lots of discombobulation, if that makes any sense. But through that process, so the combination of forgiving myself before forgiving anybody else, accepting myself for who I truly am, the whole of me, warts and all, the good, the bad, the ugly, and being in a place where I can really genuinely fall in love with myself. Now, I had a good sense of love for myself before I came to Bali because I've done 20 years of work on myself. But there's a difference by saying I love myself and actually I am in love with myself. Now, again, that might sound icky to some people, but bear with me, because I don't believe that you have to go to a place like Bali to come home to your true self. I don't feel for 1 minute that you have to travel far to really understand the trauma that you need to release. But what Bali did for me is it gave me space. I used Bali as the person that held me. So Bali held me, and Bali kept me safe whilst I was working with all these different modalities and all these different teachers over the 4 weeks to get me to where I am now. So this comes to my final bit of learning, is Bali gave me the space I needed. I chose Bali, one, because it does have a very strong healing energy. It's the vortex of the planets in Bali in terms of the energy lines within the universe are very strong in Bali. So I knew that the culture was spiritual, the people were beautiful, and I knew I would be held by the country and its people. And that's exactly how I feel. I also know that Bali is committed to living a spiritual life, which is something that I too am committed to living. And existing as one with nature, with the divine, with the universe, and now with my soul, in unison, together, as one. And I gave myself the time to honour this process. I gave myself time to honour every single part of me, to go to the darker shades of myself, to go to those uncomfortable moments, to really hold that mirror up and to speak out loud how I was really truly feeling within myself. And also, more than anything else, expressing what I need for me. And that takes courage, and it takes a commitment to really truly honouring yourself. And so for me, this final bit came up, which is that for most of my life, for all of my life, I've been known as the black sheep of the family. I've never wanted to be contained. I've never wanted to be managed by other people. Hence, I run my own business. I've never wanted to be held back by other people or circumstances in any way, shape or form. And over the last 54 years, whenever I've been cornered or whenever I've been pushed or controlled or managed or manipulated, emotionally manipulated and emotionally blackmailed, I have wanted to run, escape, battle my way out of it. And that includes being bullied from being a young girl and all that kind of stuff as well. And what I realised was that doesn't mean that there is something wrong with me. And this is the biggest learning. Of course there's nothing wrong with me. I'm perfect in every single way, inside and out. That's how truly I feel now. Regardless of whether I've got wrinkles, whether I've still got a belly, my boobs are too big, it doesn't really matter about any of that anymore. Because what matters is that I've realised that there is nothing wrong in me for wanting to be free, for wanting to follow where my soul wants to take me. Because what I've realised more than anything else, and it's a reminder from Katut's son, who I went to see in Ubud, who read my palm. Last year when I went, he said to me, "You've got 38 years left to live, according to my palm. What are you going to do with those 38 years? And can you imagine what you can create in those 38 years? And that stayed with me. But a year later, I've still been feeling the same. And so as a stark reminder, I have 37 apparently years left to live. And what am I going to do with those 37 years? I don't need to run away anymore because I can be me. I can say yes and I can say no. My purpose is to roam the world. This planet, this beautiful planet that we have, that we're abusing on a daily basis. But I I'm here to roam this planet. I'm here to learn about being human. I am here to teach others so they can come back home to their true selves, to their soul, so that they can remain as one, human and soul, living a soul-led life. And I now know how to do that because my time in Bali has shown me how I can do it for myself. Now I can show how I can help others do it for themselves, but more so I can teach others if they have the calling so that they can show others. Because I am only one person, I can only do so much. But I know that if we create a ripple effect, each and every one of us, we can start to heal ourselves, and then we can start to heal the planet and its people on it. So that's what I've learned from Bali. I've learned that I choose me. I've learned that I can stand tall and empower myself fully, and that I love me more deeply, more profoundly, because I understand myself more. And I understand how I can connect my humanness and my soul together so we are as one. So thank you, Bali, from the bottom of my heart. Because you've showed me how to choose me. You've showed me what this world, or my purpose in this world, is all about. And it's so clear now. So that's what I've learned. So I'm not saying goodbye, Bali. I'm saying see you very soon, because I will be back. Terima kasih. Suk sama, my dear friend. See you very soon.